Feels good, baby. Come on now.
I'm in the light at the end of the tunnel. Paper stacks, yeah, I got them in the bundles. Harry Potter breaking bread with the muggles. They said I wouldn't make it, now they looking puzzled. They said I wouldn't take it, I to go and hustle. Get the bag, it ain't never getting fumbled. In the jack, but we came up from the bottom. Through the cracks, let the light pour in. Have a blast, let the drinks pour in. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Getting food out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. No more than dip in your toe. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. No more than dip in your toe. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah.
Good evening. I lost Steve. Good afternoon. Where'd you go, Stevie?
I don't know.
There you are. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the stream. We're a little discombobulated there. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. We're having a phenomenal Wednesday. Welcome back, like we said. Got my main man, Steven, Shad in the stream. I'm all lost now. We had a lot go down today in Gator Nation, boys and girls. It's not what we wanted, I'm assuming on a Wednesday, but it is what it is. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get through it. We're going to move on. But welcome to the stream, guys. Obviously, Jalen Kitna, the Kitna news came out, so we're going to talk about that. DJ Lagway, Cedric Baxter, got some news on those guys, how recruiting is going to pan out. Obviously, DJ is going to commit next Wednesday on our live at 8:35, so make sure you tune in for that one. Not on our show, but on that day. So
we'll have it figured out.
Yeah, we'll have it dialed in. I probably will do a watch party depending on what time it is. It's my birthday, so it's going to be a good day. So we'll talk about that a little bit. The portal has been absolutely on fire. Like, things are just burning a hole through. And I want to talk about that, the good, the bad, the evil. What's our thought process on that? And who's out there, who's available. What does this mean for coaches? We'll get into that too. AR in the NFL, I saw an article kind of talking about scouts were talking about AR and what they thought about AR. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to go over a little bit. Then the Gators. How many Gators do we have signing early? Out of the recruits for that class coming up, how many of them are signing? I want to go over that because that's very important for Billy and that class, the 2023 class and 2024. And then obviously it's championship weekend. We're going to do our pick'ems for that. It's been a great year for pick'ems. Not for Steve, but for me. So we're going to talk about that as well. But before we get into that, let's say hey to the chat. Make sure you guys drop a like if you're brand new here. We got almost 200 people in the chat, so appreciate you guys hanging out with us today on this Wednesday. Show some love. Real quick, Kyle Bray dropped a $9.99 super chat. He goes, hey, man, how was lunch? Went to lunch for him today. It was, what's it called? Crap, hold on. I want to tell you what it is because it was absolutely phenomenal. Uptown Scratch Kitchen. It's a food truck here in St. Augustine. And I'm not just hyping it up because obviously he's here. Like we went there on purpose. The wife was like, "Can we please go here?" Because he tweeted at us. I was like, "Yeah, let's go ahead and go." Absolutely phenomenal. So if you're in St. Augustine in the local area, please go to this man's food truck because it's absolutely incredible food. It's phenomenal. The fries, I have ketchup on everything. Didn't even have ketchup. The shit was bomb. I got tacos. I got shrimp tacos. It was phenomenal. Like, she had like a fried chicken sandwich. She was like, "It's really good though because it's not heavy like a fried sandwich, but it has the taste of a fried chicken sandwich." Like, it was bomb. She was bomb diggity. It was a good time. Appreciate it, Kyle. I loved it. Harrison Whitfield, with all the hype on USC, I think Lagway goes to them. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, that's something that I'm a little nervous about. We're going to get into that a little bit. I see a lot of people in here today. There's a lot of names more than normal, so I don't know if I can say hey to everybody. Todd Freeman, what's going on, man? Cody Bullgator, little super chat, says FSU sucks. I mean, you should expect it, Steve. I think you can kind of.
It's fine. I see Muddy in here. Holly, you plus alcohol plus FSU beating of Florida equals not fun. I don't know. I was there at the end to hold Shelton with a loving embrace. We watched that last play of the game. We
were civil
in arms. I think we did pretty well together.
We were a good time. Todd for me says $4. I see BB says pay the piper show. I don't have any Seminole gear. I did not receive from Steve. I will pay my dues. I'm not gonna not bow out of this. I don't have it laying around the house. And I haven't seen him since Friday. Correct. That's where we're at on that. Copper T, what's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. Justin, Scott, Gator Nation, 352 Sports, what's going on, man? Chris Sorley. What's going on, man?
Sorry.
I'm McLovin. How we doing, boys? Ed Dupreece hit the like button. Absolutely, boys. Let's hit a like. Let's show some love. Let's get it. Johnny, Demetrius, Aaron, Jordan, what's going on, man? How you guys doing? All right, boys and girls, ladies and gents, I'm sure the reason why we're rolling already this afternoon is for the Jalen Kitna news. What's going on with that? What happened? Right? So obviously that news broke and the Twitter was on, like, literally on fire. My phone was smoking because of how much nonsense was coming out of it and people just throwing it at it. So he got charged. I don't even want to say it on here because I'm not going to get banned by YouTube. But everyone at this point, everybody knows what he got hit for. From what I'm understanding and what I'm gathering from what I read and from what I spoke to a few people that are closer to the situation, and I'm not condoning any of it, I'm just speaking on what happened, is that it almost like he said this in a quote, it's in one of the articles, that he goes, yeah, I found a picture of a chick, and again, I'm assuming probably it has to be under the age of 18, obviously. He claims that he thought she was older and sent the photo to his friends. Why he's sending photos, I don't know. I don't know what the photo was. I don't know any of that nonsense, but I don't think it's as egregious as like Jared from Subway type of situation. That's kind of what I'm getting to. I don't think it's that bad because when you first see it, like it looks hideous. You're like, what's going on here? Like distribution, possession. You're like, yo, what? And it's all right. Let's take a step back. Let's see what's going on here. Again, I mean, no matter what comes out of it, I think he's gone. Right now, he's indefinitely suspended, meaning they haven't necessarily cut the rope just yet, but the rope's definitely severed. So we'll see how it plays out. Again, I think it's all nonsense. It's disgusting, regardless of what it is. Why is he sending the photo? He clearly states in his article, he goes, yeah, I sent the photo, and then I realized that by how the people reacted, that it was bad. So I deleted my Discord because it went through a Discord. Now I'm concerned about our Discord because our Discord for our members is I think it's horrendous at times with the memes in there. But he says that he deleted his Discord, then he got an email from Discord saying, hey, your account's been deactivated, that we don't accept this. So he's like, I knew it was bad when it happened. So I don't know. He seems pretty open about it, understanding of like, yeah, I know I messed up. But again, now, here's one thing I do want to address. Everybody's kind of freaking out about like how this looks in Florida, and you can speak on this, and you can take a time to roast it if you want. I don't think this is a situation where you kind of jab at, but you do you. But everyone's like, oh, it looks bad for Florida. This is awful. No, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with Florida and the program, none whatsoever. Now, the whole Billy, like how Urban was with those guys. That's a different situation because those guys stayed on. And my wife even brought up, she goes, what about, Jameis Winston with stealing crab legs? Like, you gave him crap for doing that. I'm like, that's a little bit different too because they knew about it and nothing still was done from the school side. So that's where, like, where the flack and the shit talk comes in because, well, it happened and nobody really did anything, kind of just turned a blind eye. Because, like, yeah, it's stealing crab legs. It wasn't that big of a deal, obviously. Not the same level, but she was kind of, like, trying to compare the two. I'm like, this is different. Like, this happens. Florida's going to make an action and move on. Like, you don't know this is going on. You can't see, you know what I mean? Like you're not aware of this kind of stuff. So I don't want to really talk about it too much anymore. Like it's kind of a weird and just uncomfortable situation to be in, but
it's so bizarre, especially the way the whole thing just happened. It just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you can say is, so when did this happen? Like, I mean, I'm sure we'll find out a little bit more about the timeline of events, but it just feels like this happened and then Discord said, we're shutting you down. And then all of a sudden, Kitna had a knock on the door and he was like, and then next thing you know, he's in like, and so, nobody wants to have a conversation about it because it is truly in one of those spaces in your head that you can never process it. You can never be okay with it. And then it's one of those, innocent until proven guilty things, and then heaven forbid you give him the audacity of it to
there's a lot of
okay with it for now. It's just
a lot of levels this has to go through to see like what he actually gets hit with and things like that. But I think the process is going to be dragged out. That he's never going to play a snap at Florida ever again. I promise you.
He will not be the quarterback at Florida ever again. And
no, they're not going to touch it.
No, it's just look if for some of the moves that they've made with commits and some of the roster for much lesser things, I can't see this kid ever putting on a helmet at the University of Florida. Now that kind of puts us into a segue with what we have coming up here next, because right now there's a lot of folks that wonder where AR is going to go. and what he's going to
Sure.
do. And I know that's tabbed up here for a few tabs ahead, but Kitna trotted out there against Florida State in Tallahassee when Richardson went down for, I want to say, 7 plays, 8 plays, if that. But that was the guy that Billy put on the field. So that is your heir apparent if AR
I disagree.
is to make the move. Okay.
So the reason I say that, I think
Who do you
people
think
like
it is right now. Do you think it goes back to Jack Miller?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. Jack's still kind of dealing with a thumb injury, and I don't think that Kitna was getting the second job because of he played better than Jack. I said that a few streams ago that I was like, look, I don't think Kitna's getting because he's better than Jack. I think there's more to it than just that. And I wasn't hating on Kitna because I was calling for Kitna too. I think all of us were just calling for something new. But look, there's a lot going on with the Hartman situation. I see some people in the chat are talking about it. I was like, oh, he's already committed to the NFL. I haven't seen that yet. From what I keep saying is I keep saying that things have heated up, that it looks more promising that we could get Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. A lot of it has to do on what AR is doing. I think AR is already out the window, and we're going to talk about the AR as an individual a little bit later. But let's just play the hypothetical. AR is gone, right? That means that Sam is going to more likely be like, that's a great transition for him. I've seen a few people say too, it's either the Gators or the NFL. What's his obsession with Florida? That part I don't know, but there is some steam.
Or vice versa. What's Florida's obsession with Sam Hartman?
I mean, I think it's a guy that can come in and probably what I talked about on Monday stream is a process quarterback where he comes in or a system quarterback where he comes in and he will fit Billy's system well. He'll do a great job in that system. I think he will.
So?
Yeah, I think so. I think like Wake Forest runs a heavy run offense already, right? And you need a game manager.
It's a different offense.
Very. We talked
mesh.
about it. I understand that,
it's
but
so weird.
He has the ability to run. He has the ability to use his feet. He doesn't always go to that, but he has that. He has that threat in his bag. But he's a game manager as well too. He's never gonna, he's not gonna be explosive. So I think he's gonna be able to hit those passes that Billy wants. And I talked about that where he needs to get a guy that fits his process versus an athletic freak of nature like Anthony, where it's like I have this talent. I don't want to waste his talent either. So I think Billy kind of found himself in a weird situation in year one. Is like, I've got a really talented guy, but I'm also trying to establish my process or my system, and I'm having a hard time doing that. So that's why I think Sam makes a great candidate for that. I see somebody here talking about McNarma from Michigan, same kind of situation where he could come in and be a great just system quarterback for Billy. I think comes from the Saban era.
Oh, yeah.
Caden there. I think he comes from that Saban era where that's what Saban has done. He creates system quarterbacks, and that's why they struggled in the NFL. Like I said this too. Tua and Jalen and Mac have kind of worked out of that system, have done well in the NFL. Mac's struggling a little bit, but Jalen and Tua really found themselves this year. Now they've been there for a while. Now to credit them, they are also athletic freaks. So they've got that going for them where you can use their legs like beasts. So there's a lot of options out there as well too. Is kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I don't understand the obsession with Hartman. I think, yes, you're getting a guy who's played a ton of football. That's one thing that I will say about the portal is that you aren't getting just JUCO guys. Like for the longest time, you would get a kid from JUCO and they took less time to develop. You could plug them in, because they came in their sophomore year. They've been in a conditioning program. And then you could almost plug them in immediately, depending on the school that you got them from and what the tradition was of that junior college school. Well, now with the portal, you could get somebody who's played D1 football, a whole lot of D1 football, and could walk in and be already at the level of the competition around them. Now, it would put, if we're looking at Hartman to Florida, it would put the quarterback, Hartman, it would put Billy into a position of now I'm going into another year with a quarterback that has not been through my system. He has not been through my camp. He's not been through my offense, which could be okay based on the fact that he's played so much and he already has so much game experience. But it also could be like we're starting to realize that there is a disparity between what we need, what this guy is actually going to do. Look, if you look at the FSU game when Wake played him, like Wake beat us, that's fine. But Hartman threw for 234 and 2 touchdowns. He had negative negative rushing yards. The guy didn't run the damn ball.
But he has it. He had
the other thing to consider with Hartman is he almost didn't play football. But he almost didn't play football this year. He had blood clots in his legs that almost kept him out for the entire year. It was blood thinners and all these things that they did to get him ready that got him on the field to begin with. He was almost not eligible to play this football season based on health. So I don't know. Look, I like the kid. He's a great kid. He's a good quarterback in the system that they have. Would I think that he would translate instantly to being the quarterback that you guys, I think, are starting to get to a point of need right now. So somebody who can come in and give you instant contribution. I'm not sure if that's your dude. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, I don't disagree. I think, look, the reason why I think he is, I mean, I like your thought though. Like why you're getting a guy for 1 year to kind of just put off the inevitable of you have to invest into a guy that you went out and recruited yourself for your process. Right, for your system. So, look, do we go with Jaden right away? There is Max Brown, who's a great 3-star, right? He's kind of under the radar, who Billy did go out and get. So, and look, Jack's still there. I was high on Jack at the beginning of the year. You were there. There's some people that here that knows that I was. Yep. That this is not like me being a bandwagoner. He was my dark knight to be the guy, and he struggled in the orange and blue game, which concerned me, and I said that too. I was like, he did not look as good as I thought he was going to look. I didn't realize he had a DUI at Ohio State. That's why he came to us. So he's a problem child that kind of found his way over to us too. So it's like, my goodness, can we just get somebody who just some cleanness going on here? So look, it's going to be. Don't give
the man a scooter. Don't give him a scooter.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's going
problems on a scooter.
It's going to be interesting. Hey, real quick, the Golf Week AM Tour of North Florida. Email me at hightopsports2@gmail.com, please, for their golf schedule. Yeah. So look, there's a lot out there. Like you said, the portal is going to be interesting this year. It's free agency, and I want to talk about that as a separate discussion too, because I think there's another part that we're not looking at, and I thought about that before the cast of like, well, there is the other side which we're not talking about enough. So I want to get into that. But look, I think there's a lot left on the table of what's going to happen with the quarterback situation. I'm almost certain AR is gone, and we're going to get into it a little bit later. But for now, this is kind of what we're stuck with. So if you guys are new here, make sure you guys subscribe, drop a like. Let's see if we can get to 100 likes before the end of the show. We would appreciate that dearly. So moving on, DJ Lagway and Cedric Baxter are becoming hot topics. DJ obviously has been a very hot topic for Florida. Cedric is starting to make a little bit of a move here in the Florida conversation. There was a lot of hot noise around him from FSU. That seemed to die down a little bit. Right now, he's obviously committed to Texas. He's a 5-star running back, absolute tank. Would be massive if Florida could get him tidied up with Trayon, as well as Mark Fletcher, who decommitted from Ohio State, I believe it was, and we're in the mix for him in Miami right now. He has an official visit coming up here in like 3 or 4 days. So big news on those end. DJ Lagway, what I want to talk about, he commits Wednesday. Here's my concern, is he visited USC this past weekend and got a lot of buzz. You get to hang out with Caden Williams, who's potential Heisman winner, probably not, but obviously he's a candidate. At least his name's in the conversation. Potential playoff team. You see what's going out there in LA. There's a lot of money floating around. He's a kid from Texas, and his options are USC, Clemson, Florida, and Texas A&M. I mean, he's looking far and wide. So there isn't any kind of homegrown to this in a sense, with the exception of Texas A&M. But I think to think Texas A&M's in the conversations at this point is no bueno.
No,
I think it's between Florida is in the lead from what everybody's saying, and I think I've been preaching this. I think that baseball has a huge aspect to that because he's a dual sport athlete. I think that has a huge factor to it because my concern is like, look, you got Clemson and Lincoln, you got Dabo and Lincoln, who are two proven, great quarterback developing coaches, and we've got Billy, who had 1 year with AR, and I talked about this on Monday, who didn't really show much of him developing Anthony, because a lot of people are talking about with Anthony and Dan Thompson, and then off the field, Anthony looks phenomenal. Like the same, you don't see the same guy on the field. So is that a Billy situation? Is that Billy and co not being able to coach him up enough? I don't know. We haven't seen enough yet, right? So do you take that risk as a quarterback to go to somebody like that, or do you go to USC and Lincoln Riley, where he has proven quarterbacks, he has proven studs there. He's time and time again. Or you go to Dabu, who's also, thrown a few studs into the NFL that have had success. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm a little nervous. Again, I'm not gonna Kermani McClain this one, but there is a lot of buzz coming out of USC from him.
Yeah, they feel confident, and they should. Like they've put together a decent season out there with the first-year coach, and Lincoln Riley. He's done well in developing quarterbacks with even Kyler out in Arizona. I don't know how much he had to do with some of the older guys, but I mean, let's be honest. Like Oklahoma was 3-4.
You had Kyler, Baker, and now Caden and Spencer.
Baker. Yeah,
I mean Spencer didn't do it, but you got him there. So
yeah, you got a flash of what Spencer could be. And you thought maybe he could develop it. I think that was just a limitation on Spencer, to be completely honest. I think that his physical attributes and his mental ability for the game looked like that he could have, the highest ceiling in the world, but I think he was already at his ceiling. But just kind of going back to Oklahoma and what Lincoln was able to do. I mean, a couple of Heismans, let's be honest, like 2 Heisman quarterbacks in his time there. And then you go out to USC. Like for a Lagway, that could be big. That could be a draw. And it's not like it's hard to market yourself in LA. It's not hard to market yourself out there. That's one thing that they talk a lot about with football free agency in the NFL is, you think about like going to a team and all the money that you can make on the contract, but what they fail to ever really bring up when they talk about where a free agent can go is, I'll just throw, Eli out there. Eli he played in New York. I mean, the guy was on a billboard in Times Square for a watch advertisement. Like, you ain't getting that if you come to Jacksonville. You're not getting that potentially even in like Tampa, Charlotte, right? I mean, there's so much more money to be made outside of the contract. And I think this in the NIL like era that we're in, a kid like that going to Lincoln Riley in LA, it just feels like that just drips potential money.
Yeah, no, look, I agree. I think that's something to be nervous about. I really think though the baseball factor. I think people like I've been pretty like honed in on this kid because obviously Florida's been heavy on him, and baseball is obviously he's a great baseball player, and Florida's baseball system is one of the top in the country. So
it's very good. Yeah.
USC doesn't really have that same type of caliber, and I think that's going to be a huge factor. I saw a question on here earlier. The chat's going so fast. I don't remember who said it, but it was as a 5-star quarterback like DJ, you start right away. I think the chances are much higher than a 4-star. Yes. Are they like a Quinn Ewers? No, because Quinn Ewers came out as a number 1 and a perfect score. I also think it matters where the team is. So Texas was kind of in a weird place where they they didn't have anybody. If we're at that point when DJ's coming in, then yeah, I could see it happening. Hopefully not, because we obviously Jaden at that point. I think Jaden could see him starting to take the reins a little bit. It all just depends on how we work in the portal too. There's going to be a ton of factors, so it all just depends. I'm not quite sure yet, but that was a great question for sure. Let's make sure we get some like, boys, and subscribe if you're brand new here.
Yeah, Muddy just threw it in. Muddy threw it in here. So Muddy had a great point. Lincoln Riley has coached Gardner Minshew, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Spencer Rattler, and Caleb Williams. That's his quarterback room.
Yeah, look, it's crazy. Yeah, like I'm thinking about it. I'm like, damn, if I'm DJ, I'm like, yeah, I'm really considering USC. And if you see what what Caleb's been able to do there, and what Jordan Addison, and just from the NIL perspective, like you said, just the LA atmosphere, there's a lot of opportunity out there that is kind of insane. It's kind of hush and quiet because it's California, but it's if you got somebody like that looking at you, if we can pull, if Billy pulls us off over those guys, that's huge.
Oh boy,
that's pretty big. That's a pretty big W. It's a really big W. Super chat from my boy Cody. I don't know how I missed this. Says Sam Bradford, when the Vikings people used to say he was a Hall of Fame practice quarterback, but when the lights turn on, six out of 10 times was average at best. I think AR is the same. Okay, we'll get into that. We'll say that. Yeah, I like where your head's at. Yeah, I'll wait till signing day too. That's a good point. So, super chat from Chris Sorley too. says for Holly, Mike Who Cheese Harry. I think. Okay. I think you were supposed to read that.
Were you?
Don't read it again. Don't read it again.
No. See, I'm not getting trapped again. If that was a thing, if that was a North Florida white trash. No. I'm not getting trapped like that again. Okay, that was a one-time event.
That was
a one-time event, and
it was
took
worth
week 13. I want to point
it was
that
worth
out.
it.
Week 13.
It was worth it.
I cannot believe I fell for that. Yes.
So, and then obviously, again, Cedric Baxter, another one that's in the conversation. Again, I kind of mentioned him already, but that'll be another big one. Hopefully, we can pull that off. So, we'll see on that. But let's talk about the portal talk. I'm getting chats on Discord and in here that Dejon Reynolds just entered into the portal, who is Florida's wide receiver. So, again, did we expect these things to happen? Yes. I feel like he had a pretty good game this past. I think it was against Vandy. Reynolds had a good game. He was out against FSU, but I can't remember if he was out against FSU, but he had a good game.
I mean, let's assume they were because like 3/4 of
I think he did play against FSU, but he had a good game. But look, I don't that doesn't surprise me with the talented wide receiver cores that are coming in. It doesn't surprise me. I got to be honest. He's a freshman, 6'2", 204. I'm trying to see what he came in as. I don't think this was Billy's guy either. No, because he was a 2021. So this was a Mullen guy here. Look, that's kind of a little bit of a hurt. That one I feel like out of the ones we've lost thus far, I feel like that one had the most potential behind it. And I think, from when we did see him, I felt like he played great. So he was a 4-star coming out of high school, 24th in Georgia, 293 nationally. Nothing crazy, nothing like out of this world. But definitely something there. But again, I think the class that's coming in has a lot of potential, and I think that has a lot to do with it as well. So, okay, so he played against FSU and didn't do anything. Okay, that's probably why I didn't remember if he played against FSU. So, look, I'm not too worried about it. I think we expect some of these things. So that's a name that I'm not too concerned about. I've seen a few tweets of like there's going to be some names that we're bummed about. There really isn't anybody that I can think of that I would be upset about, to be honest with you. That would shock me because Etienne and Montreal, they're already a lock. Those guys would shock me. Anthony, I'm already expecting. The quarterback room, nobody would shock me in there. So there's nobody. Honestly, you guys might have somebody else then maybe from the defensive side that might shock you. Maybe like a Gervon Dexter would shock me. That would surprise me. That would hurt a little bit in my opinion. Maybe like Big Dez. Like I'm just making names up, right? But those guys that aren't even, to me, I don't think that are even on the chopping block. So.
Look, the one thing I will say about of Dez was, coaches aren't openly critical about players, post game and things like that. But it felt like early on, and look, I was a huge fan of the guy. The first time I saw him on the field for you guys, I'm like, holy crap, that's like what Warren Sapp wanted to be in college, and he already is in college. But they did mention a little bit of his ability to stay in football shape throughout a game. That could be somebody that if he's not committed to the conditioning program that Billy wants him to be in, even at the weight and the size, which he's a space eater. If he's not somebody that they believe is going to stay committed to the training regiment that they're going to put him in, that could be somebody that enters the portal just because he knows he's not going to sit in good favor down the road. Like again, this is all speculation, but that's one that I just remember the coaches mentioning that they have to put him in football plays situationally towards the end of the game because he gets gassed. What's he going to do to not
he's worked on that. He's worked on that throughout the year. I think that was earlier on, but he's definitely worked on that he was looking much better at the end of the year.
Look, he was in a ton against FSU. I thought FSU's game plan was come out, go fast, like just go up tempo and try to get into Florida's depth on defense. And because to try to get some of these starters out and get into your second and third string guys, it didn't quite work the way that I thought it would. But I remember fourth quarter, he's out there just clogging up the hole. So he's definitely made strides from where he was at the beginning of the season. I love the kid. I think he's amazing. I can't wait to watch him get bigger,
stronger.
Not physically, stronger, and then just be a machine.
Yeah. TK said straight skipped over the Baxter news. I pretty sure I covered it early on. What I was, I'll reiterate in case I missed it. But what I was saying was, Florida is now back in the conversation. He's talked about possibly going and visiting. Before it was more Florida State and just Texas. It felt like we kind of got dusted, but now things are starting to heat back up, and we seem to be more involved with it. That's all I really got. That was all I had to say. That's not enough. That's on me. But did want to make sure you guys thought I missed that, or we're just kind of just toying it out there. So wanted to make sure I covered that.
Well, hey, to your point, real fast on Baxter is for FSU, and FSU's been in the talk of it. FSU brings back 5 scholarship running backs. We don't lose a single one of our starters. And we're also bringing in a transfer from Penn State in Kazal Holmes. And we have a freshman in Rodney Hill. Not to mention, we also have a local kid from right here in town that's already committed and coming in. So that's going to be a very, very crowded running back room. And unless somebody like a Trey Benson decides to go pro next year, and we start to maybe see some, like maybe a Lawrence Toafili going from being a third-year back, and maybe he decides to go to the NFL. Like that's a crowded room. So Baxter to FSU had a lot of talk at the beginning because of the way that Florida State's run their offense. I don't know if Baxter feels like he can look at that room and say, I'm going to be at least in the top 2, top 3 within the next 2 years. That could push him either to stay committed, or it could push him to his next option if there is one, or if FSU was 1A, 1B, all that stuff.
So did you see you guys lost your best recruit, McDowell?
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of was giving you crap about it. I don't know if you saw, but he got pretty sure Norvell suspended him or basically kicked him out of the locker room. Like he got into it with Norvell. So there's a piece into it, and that's the other part that I wanted to talk about with the portal is we're all excited because these guys are leaving other colleges, and we're like, oh, now we can go get them. Now, there is some that are leaving because it's toxic. I think a lot from the Texas A&M situation. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore, right? I would say the same for the likes of Miami. If I see a guy leaving FSU, I would be like, why? There's a few leaving Bama. I would ask why? One of those being the cornerback, I believe. He was also suspended by Saban. All right, well, that's why, right? So now there's a lot of wide receivers, and we're going to get into that with tied roles because I have kind of a theory and a thought on that, which we've talked about it throughout the whole year, but it seems to be coming to fruition now. But the other part of the portal is, again, there's going to be guys out there that they weren't wanted at the school they were currently at, and some of them never even played a snap, and they're hoping to enter in the portal having the same type of energy and attention that they had when they were coming out of high school. Well, mind you, when they came out of high school, they were raw off the field. It was the upside of what could have been. Well, now you've got a year under your belt underneath out of school where you didn't play any. So that's going to raise a question. Well, why didn't he get a single snap? Why is he leaving? Right? So these kids think like, oh, I'm going to hit the portal and I'm going to just go get somebody like I was before. Well, no, there's going to be people are going to ask questions now. So I think this year is going to be the Wild Wild West. I think it tones down a little bit after this and gets a little bit more honed in. But right now, I think we think it's gonna be crazy, but there's gonna be that part where we can't just be excited and jumping for joy when we see a name hit the portal. Like there needs to be a question of like why. And I know the coaches are already thinking that, but and that's what the same thing when a guy leaves Florida, all of us are like, yeah, no problem, we don't care, because there's a reason why he's leaving. He knows he's not gonna play, right? Sure. So if a guy like I said, like a Watson leaves or a Dexter leaves, I would be like, yo, what's going on, right? When there's a mass exodus, if you had a recruit that if like Trevor Etienne left, I'm like, yo, what's up? What's going on? Right? Like that would concern me of like, okay, well, somebody just got a treat, right? And then the other part of it is like, what's going on with my school? But you losing McDowell with having that news come out, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But like the A&M, the Miamis of the world, they're going to get a little flack right now, and I think it's a little early. You should expect it. And look, Florida, it could still happen to us, but that's what I think about that.
Yeah, so yeah, it's McCall, but whatever. The kid who's leaving FSU.
McCall.
Look, sorry, McCall. It doesn't matter. Sam McCall and Travis Hunter were very close throughout the entire recruiting process. They've always been good friends. I don't even think Sam McCall knew that Travis Hunter was going to make the move that he did, and it kind of left McCall untethered. Right, he was planning on being there with his guy, And I don't think that he ever really blended in with the rest of the team. I know that there was a little bit of a back and forth potentially in the locker room, but look, it's a kid who was frustrated by his playing time. He was frustrated by not seeing the opportunity to get on the field. And look, that sucks. That sucks. I mean, you put a ton of work in because you got to impress the coaches. You got to commit to what they're trying to do. And you do all these workouts. You're up early. You're there at 5 a.m. You're working out. You're doing 2-a-days. You're sweating your ass off. And then you go through a 13-week season a 13-week season, and you only get on the field, 40 plays the entire time. I would be frustrated by that, considering how much time I've put in. So I get where it's happening. And this is also a kid who back in the beginning of November, end of October, posted on his Instagram that he was going to transfer. And then he took it down and he did the whole, I was just being emotional. And then now he's back into it. It's not something that FSU didn't expect. But I can kind of understand where some of these kids come from, right? They get to a point where they just don't feel like the place that they chose is where they want to be, and there's got to be another opportunity somewhere else. So I like with Sam McCall, like I wish him the best. You look at the potential future talent and what it could be for the roster. You certainly don't want to see that, but if it's going to make the kid happy to leave and go somewhere else and feel like he's got an opportunity to see the field more, again, that's why the transfer portal has its benefits. It also has its not so benefits. But this kid's going to be able to walk away, go to another school, find where he wants to go, and potentially see, what he wanted that he wasn't getting at FSU. No harm, no foul. It is what it is.
Sure. Dominic Levitt, you guys were talking about him in the chat. He's obviously the wide receiver from Mizzou. He was third in the SEC in total yards. Guy's a stud. I think he would be, to me, he kind of reminds me of the Jordan Addison. Not the exact same as Jordan Addison, obviously. Jordan Addison was great, but somebody who could come and have an impact right away. And that's going to be a hot target for anybody right now. So we'll see. I mean, look, when it's free agency, so they have a choice too. And they're going to look who's throwing me the football. And I think that's where Florida's got to figure out the quarterback situation pretty quickly if AR is leaving, because these wide receivers that are in the portal, like, yeah, it sounds great and we're all foaming at the mouth, but if they don't know who's throwing them the ball, they're not coming. So that's gonna a lot has to do with it. So hopefully, Billy acts quick and moves quickly to make that happen. Let's see if we get to 100 likes, boys. We need 12 more. See if we can get there. I appreciate it.
So kind of off the cuff, real fast.
Yep.
I got one question for you. So now that we have the portal that is essentially becoming the free agency of what the NFL is, different in a lot of ways, but similar in a lot of ways, do college coaches that were typically looked at as good recruiters, but potentially couldn't make the move to NFL because they never had to deal with that dynamic, do college coaches become more attractive to NFL teams because they've now had to deal with that free agency interaction? What are your thoughts? Just a random thought that went through my head.
I think it's the other way. I think that NFL coaches will look more appealing, kind of like Mark Rule is going to Nebraska. I think that
going back into college,
coming back into college is going to be, they'll have more success, because I think that's where those guys have a hard part transitioning back or forth, because coming back into it, it's like, I don't feel like a recruit. I just want to coach, grown men how to play football. And it's like, I ain't got time for all that. So I think it's going to work that way better than what you were saying.
Makes sense. Just something to think about, though. Like, all of a sudden, a coach at a high level D1 school, like a top 10, top 15 school, looks a lot like
I see what you're saying, because
and vice versa.
Like Saban didn't do well he didn't do well in the pros. Why? I mean, there's I'm sure countless reasons, but part of it is that he didn't have the kind of the control of the recruiting aspect of it like he does at college,
right.
And because his scheme isn't that great. But Lane Kiffin didn't do well in the pros, and he's more of a portal guy. So I think it's just I don't know. I don't know. I think it goes more the other way. I think. Great question though.
Yeah. Let's go back at it.
Yep. Awesome. We just broke 100 likes. You guys rock. I appreciate it. That was quick. So AR to the NFL. So obviously this is a hot topic. I saw a few tweets today where his locker room has already been cleared out. That there's no fact or evidence behind that. Just noise that I saw on Twitter. So I was just telling you what I saw. But Twitter's
just getting his locker. They just were looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Sorry, that was a cheap shot. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think it happened like a few days ago from what they were saying. So I'm not quite sure. But this is an article from Nick Del Toro that I thought was very interesting. There was what scouts were saying about him. And this is kind of what we've been preaching this entire time of like, because again, you have both sides of like, how is he going to the NFL? He looks like crap, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Everyone has their opinion about it. And this kind of lets you know where the scouts' mindsets are at. And that's kind of where it's like, okay, if they're saying this, Anthony knows they're saying this, which then, relates to how much he's going to get paid, which means he's gone, is kind of what I'm getting to. So one scout said, Richardson is insanely gifted and will show up at the NFL scouting combine at a slimmed down weight. He'll run a 4.3, 4.4 40-yard dash. He won't throw at the combine, which none of the elite quarterbacks do anymore. Instead, he'll throw to a group of receivers that he's comfortable with at UF's Pro Day. They will have rehearsed the throws a dozen times and should do well in that setting, which I spoke today and I spoke Monday, where he's done well with when Danny Thompson has full control over him. That's exactly what we're going to see here, so he's going to look phenomenal. Number 2, he's a top 20 pick for us. This is what another scout said. If he came back to school and had a great season, which we've been saying, showed improvements in his progression reads and accuracy, he could be a top 5 pick. We've been saying that too, and that's the one thing that I keep hinting at is like, look, that's what could keep him in, and I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed because of those things, right? Because that's huge. I mean, a top 20 pick and a top 5 pick, that's massive. That's huge. That's a big money gap. One scout said he would be best suited, in my opinion, to go to a situation where he doesn't start in year 1, which I've also said, but has a chance to learn and develop behind a veteran. That's another big point too, which that was what I also said. I'm like, look, we keep going. He needs to stay for another year and learn. Well, if I know, hey, I'm going to go play at this NFL team and sit behind this guy and get just as good of learning ability, and maybe my check isn't as big, but I'm still getting paid, then why wouldn't I do that? Because I'm going to get better. Same thing. Another scout said Anthony has much upside as anyone in regards to arm talent. He's the best athlete in the quarterback group in his class. In the games he's played well, he's played like a first-round draft pick. Every team has their own grades and systems, but in terms of upside, arm talent, size, and athletic ability, he's a no-brainer first-round pick. He's gone. And that's what we've been saying the whole time. Like, we all have our own opinion about it, but again, the upside is so massive. And I think we're all going to hate ourselves in a year or two if he's out there balling, just like kind of Damian Pierce is. We're like, we had that. Like, what the hell happened? I don't know. Hopefully not. I mean, I hope he has a good career. I mean, I'm hoping we kind of are in that situation because I want him to be successful.
So to that point, and I think right now, if you are Richardson, you're getting these draft grades to you, and you're hearing, even if I'm a project and I'm not going to start for a couple years, that still makes me a first round pick. And my quarterback minimum salary to be a first round pick is massive. I mean, look at Trey Lance. Trey Lance, in my opinion, is the same. They're the same person. A tall stature guy, with a ton of ability to run. The throwing ability throws the ball like a piss missile, right? And he sat for a year behind Jimmy Garoppolo and then got the job. Now, he obviously was injured, and that's a whole other thing. But that was a perfect case scenario, and he was a third or fourth round draft pick. So, to me, he wasn't making nearly as much as I mean, he made a ton of money for being a third-round draft pick to go sit for the first year. That's partly why they're like, yo, we got to move on. But that's how I see Anthony working out. A team that, where does he go? Atlanta would be good. I mean, he sits behind Mariota for a year. That wouldn't hurt him. Mariota's been in the league for a long time. He can learn a lot from Mariota. Regardless of how good he is, he can learn a lot. Carolina? There's nobody there that he would sit behind. You got Baker and Wentz. I don't think that would be a good option. It'd be like a Cam Newton all over again. I would hope that, for his sake, I would hope he wouldn't go there. To be honest with you, I really do. But I mean, look, honestly, in Green Bay, I know they got Jordan Love there, but Green Bay wouldn't be bad. They probably would have an early pick. A Lions. What about a Minnesota? You got Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is going to be there for a while. You got to think of Kirk Cousins isn't that dog, bro. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is pretty solid, boy. I think the Lions. I've never been a fan.
Lions could be a good. I mean, there's plenty of options. Colts, you got Matt Ryan there who could probably show him a thing or two. Like, there's a lot of options that people don't realize of, like, look, like he can go and kind of just sit behind it and relax, and we would forget about him for a year, and then he comes back and he's going to be the absolute tank. So I'm like 98% sure that he's gone. Now, if he does stay,
here's the takeaway. Here's the takeaway. To the 98% that you're saying he should be gone, which I'm going to go with. I think it's probably closer to 99, because what if he comes back? It has no progression at all.
That's what I keep saying.
On the college level.
That's going to hurt.
The only way he can go, like when your stock is this high, it's this high.
Right now,
the only thing that you can do is just get worse because you're already projected to be a first-round pick. Just take it.
No, so hold on, Q Lee.
Oh boy.
Yes, so it's like a stock. They're buying the news. Right now, you're just buying what could be, and I think that's why he has to go too. Because yes, if he came and stayed and he got better, sure, he would be a little bit higher pick. But is it worth it? Probably not. Q Lee says Kirk Cousins is inconsistent. Stop it. Kirk Cousins is that dog. Kirk Cousins don't get enough love. Okay, like, he's not a flashy quarterback. He's not like, you know, an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady, but he doesn't get enough love. He should be in a higher category. He really should. Kirk Cousins is a winner.
What was his playoff chant in the tunnel? Do you remember it? You remember when he was in the tunnel?
I know. He did it the day. I love it.
Did he?
Like, that's it, or like look it up. I gotta know. You guys disagree with me. You guys are saying I'm wrong. I don't know what you guys are saying wrong. We got over 300 in the chat. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. Much love. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. Redskins Kurt greater than all.
You
Kurt's.
like that?
Oh, you like that? You like that? You like that? Yeah, I love that. I love it. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased. I love his energy, but Kirk Cousins doesn't do enough in big games. Y'all just hate y'all. How you like that? Yeah, y'all just hating on him. Y'all just hating on Kurt. I swear to God, y'all hating on him. Like, it's just because the entire media and industry hates on him, so we just automatically hate on him. That's what it is. It's the same reason why we all love what's his face out in Herbert. He hasn't really done great, but we all love him because everybody just talks about him. And I love him, but I'm getting. You like that? You like that? I love it. So yeah, he's gone. Absolutely. Moving on. Tides roll. So we've been talking about this, and I think it's always going to be talked about forever and always until the end of time, until Nick Saban finally does retire. But we said at the beginning of the season that the portal and the NIL was going to spice things up and give old Saban some trouble. And I don't think we see Saban lasting too much longer. And we talked about it when they lost to Tennessee. It got brought up again. And then they lost to LSU. And now the portal seems to be hot. And again, I think just to see, it's not that big of a deal because you should expect that, right? Guys leaving the portal. But Bama has just always been this perfection. So anytime they have any type of, things not going their way, it raises a flag for concern. Whether it's a big deal or not, it's just because of how clean and, sound the Alabama's organization always runs. These things kind of get, you raise a brow. There's 4 right now that have entered into the portal. One being a 5-star running back. I have him right here, actually. We got Kenny Solomon. Oh, that's not it. Hold on. Sorry. I got to pull it up.
Somebody's been reading the menorah.
Kyrie Jackson, cornerback. That's the one that got suspended. Trey Sanders. He's a 5-star running back. Okay. And then you got Braylon Ingram, who is a 4-star defensive lineman. I want to say another O-lineman left as well, too. They haven't necessarily, I don't think they maybe done it yet, but Trey Sanders is a 5-star from 2019. He committed in 2018. So 6 foot 215. Guy's a tank. He was the number 1 running back in the says 6 nationally and the number 1 running back, and 2 in the state of Florida. This guy was a tank. So what happened? Why isn't he playing? And now he's up for grabs. Again, we've always said that the reason why Baylor's been so great because they just have a slew of running backs. Well, now this is what we said. They're not going to stay. They're going to go play somewhere else where they know they can play because why not? Right? So it brings it up for discussion of, like, I just don't see Saban trying to deal with this. He may try to do it for a year or two, but it's going to be very sporadic. And I feel like he's going to be like this. It's going to be kind of more NFL-ish. And again, he didn't do very well. A new word there. No. He didn't do well with that. And I think he's going to find himself.
Is that a spread on a sandwich? What is that exactly?
Yes, between the hedges, which I think I know who that is. I need to ask him if that's what it is.
Oh, boy.
I think Nick will be like NC basketball coach Roy Williams, getting tired of putting up with the BS. And that is perfectly said. That's what I'm trying to say. He just kind of summed it up much better. It's like, look, I'm too old. What's the movie? What's the guy? I'm getting too old for this shit, man. that's Nick. Like, I'm not going to deal with it anymore. Like, I've created this process. The process is changing. I'm not going to go through it all over again. And I think he's going. I think he's going.
Well, the other part of it, and I think this is where Saban. Again, we talked about this 14 weeks ago, 18 weeks ago. Before
we've been there.
Kickoff was even, in the horizon. Yeah. So, but I think what's happening is that, like, Nick Saban is finding that a kid who committed to Alabama and signed a letter of intent to Alabama, that kid was locked into that, and for that kid to transfer was extremely difficult. So it was easier to keep the 5-star talent that you had. When you had a number 1 recruiting class with 9 5-star kids, for those kids to leave was difficult. Now it ain't difficult. So now you got to make them think that they need to be there. That's a tough sell, especially when there's opportunities right down the road, and I home money right down the road.
It's not even
running back spot right down the road.
That's the big thing too, is that these guys are not going to sit behind somebody to play for 1 year, to have a really good 1 year, to go to the NFL, because they can go play for a smaller school and get a fat check from NIL because they're impactful at that school in that state in that city, and they can make money.
Think about Scarborough. Think about remember Bo Scarborough, who sat behind just Derrick Henry, and I can't remember who came right after Derrick Henry, but it just felt like Bo Scarborough sat there for years. Oh, Shelly did
keep
not.
Talking,
yeah,
keep
he
talking.
did not prepare. So it just felt like Scarborough sat there for years, and then he finally got his opportunity to be the guy, right? But would he have sat there if he was in under the NIL agreement and what we have now? I don't think he does. And you keep going a little bit different into it. Now, how does Saban manage that potential in and out? I don't think he does. I don't think he wants that. He's not transactional when it comes, because he's not diving into the portal. I don't know how many kids are diving into Alabama from the portal. So all you're doing is losing to the portal year after year after year. So you're out here recruiting at a high level. You have more people leaving from the portal than you do getting in from the portal. Nobody's transferring to Alabama right now, guys. So
and not yet,
it's going to make this job very straight.
Yeah.
Well, when do you think they will? Like, when have we seen one? The last person I saw transfer, there were 2. The last couple of people that I saw transfer to Alabama was an offensive lineman from Florida State, and then a quarterback from Florida State who was never going to see the field because of Jameis. He won a national championship. They both did, but that's just because Alabama was winning national championships. How many people are going to Bama?
It's crazy. I mean, look, like there's no noise from Georgia right now. There's no noise from Georgia. I mean, Kirby's got the things down on lock.
Because they don't need people from the portal.
I know, but nobody's leaving. Nobody's leaving either at the moment. Real quick, got a few super chats. One from Cody says, "You like that?" And look up Kurt in the prime time as a Viking. I can't agree with you. Kirk has hurt me more than my ex-wife. I know you guys aren't going to agree with me. That's true. He has choked in big games, so I can't argue with you there. But I still love the guy. Another super chat from Ben Smith says, Nick Saban has always adapted. He's not retiring. Look, I respect that opinion too. I'm not disagreeing.
He's also 73 years old.
That's my point. Sean says, "Hey, Sheldon, get your NASA suit ready. Like today? Like it's something. What's up, boys? We about to get bug nasty with it? Like, I mean, it's always ready. I always get it pressed. I get it pressed once a week. I just picked up from the dry cleaners, boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I keep seeing a lot of hot noise coming in for us this next week. So we will see." Andrew Apple says celebrates his 3 months of being a member. I appreciate you being a member for 3 months, man. I appreciate you guys rock for being part of this family for that long. FSU going to storm the field when they lose. Oh, man. Right, can we talk about that really quick? Look, I meant to do it at the beginning of the show, and I got away with it. We haven't obviously talked about Florida State, you and I together on the show, which I think we have to.
Sure.
You've earned the right, so I'm going to give you this.
For FSU. Fight,
Respectfully.
baby, fight.
You handled it with class throughout the stream. You were a little wild. Thankfully, we had Gators Dockside staff to keep you calm down. But I want your honest opinion on this. No bullshit here.
Yeah.
I roasted them, and this is me. This is me not being sour. You know me. If I'm sour, I'll be like, yeah, I'm butthurt. You rushing the field was an absolute joke. I don't. Okay, thank God. Thank God, Steve. Like, that was pathetic.
No, look. Okay, so the students, I could understand. The students, because if you're a senior at FSU in that game, you have never seen a win against Florida. So I can understand a couple of the students spilling over and being a little aggressive, but it wasn't just them. There were some.
There's the whole thing. Everybody
who had, if they went to, the whole thing didn't know. It was not a whole thing. If you look back at it, it's a small part of the field. Not everybody did that. It's not like once the dam broke, Louisiana was underwater. It wasn't like that. But I do believe that Florida State needs to understand the history of what you come from and the history that was built for you. Those games, as exciting as they are, and as much as you are happy to win that game, you expect to win that game. You are still Florida State. You are still the Seminoles of Florida State. You don't rush the field.
That was my point.
Team.
Thank you.
No offense that we were expected to beat. You were favored. If we were an 18-point underdog against a top 5 Florida team, I'd have a little bit of compassion for it. But we went into that game with a better record. We were favored, and it's in your just don't. The kids, I understand. Anybody who is not a student, what in the hell are you doing? You should know better. That is not how we play this game. We are better than that.
I love it.
That's all I got.
All right. So points for you. I appreciate that. Let me see here. You guys keep saying I get my suit on. Some good news coming. Uncle Glenn Hartley says hot air. Look, buddy, I know you're a Georgia fan. You like talking some smack, but you're the one sitting here. But if you don't appreciate what we're saying, you can click off. Ain't no big thing, baby. We appreciate you guys hanging out.
Stick around,
but
dude. Stick around.
Like, if you don't appreciate what we're saying, I'm not.
Sit here and throw punches. That's what we do.
I don't mind punches, but we're gonna just say hot air. Like,
look, the one thing I will say, if you're gonna sit here,
have a comment.
If you're gonna sit here and hang out with us, at least have
a reasonable comment.
Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Like, be a member. Jump in the Discord. Be a member and jump in the Discord.
I love talking shit, but just have some back to it. Gators signing early.
This chat is going something like the Discord for the last couple of weeks has been. It's been better news than like regular people news. Like I look at that like within the first 15 minutes of me waking up in the morning. It's awesome, hilarious. You can't go.
It's got its own little personality in there.
It really does.
Gators signing early, so this was huge here. So I'm just going to list off the names here. Some more hot air for you guys to sit on here. These are guys that we are expecting to sign in December, which is early signing day. Then obviously the next signing would be in February. This would be huge because now these guys are locked and we don't have to stress about it anymore, whether or not they're going to be leaving us, because that's always, that's in the back of our mind. So these are the Gators are expected to commit early. We got sign early, excuse me. Rashada, Trayon, Eugene, Andy, Gene, Mazzell, Roger Kearney, Najee Harris, Bryce Lovett, Kelby Collins, Will Norman, Gavin Hill, TJ Searcy, Cameron James, Isaiah Nixon, Jaden Robinson, our linebacker, Jordan Castle, Aaron Gates, and Bryce Thornton, all safeties, and then Sharif Denson, Deshaun Johnson, and Jakeem Jackson. God, what a stud. Out of those, the ones that are expecting to enroll early are Rashada, Webb, Mazzell, Kearney, Harris, Lovett, Collins, Norman, Searcy, James, Robinson, Castle, Gates, Thornton, Denson, and Jackson, which, again, is huge because, obviously, Jack Fiburn, he was one who committed early. Kamari Wilson, he enrolled early, and we see how that translates to get to play in the orange and blue game. That's massive to get in early. So a ton of good news there for the next class coming in and what's to expect. Also, this is a shout-out to Corey Bender. This is his article. Again, great information I like to pass on to you guys. I think it's a little settling to know when we get to see, hey, are these guys, what's going to happen? He also says Aaron Gates, was intentionally going to, or initially going to sign in February, but Michigan's been pushing really hard. So I looked at On3, and it's like 40% Michigan and 55% or something like that, or whatever, for Florida. So it looks like Michigan's making a heavy pull for Aaron. So we'll see. Kelby Collins is another one where I just lost Steve. All right, bye, Steve.
I'm here. I'm here. What's that?
I can't see you. Where Kelby Collins, he obviously went to the Iron Bowl game. A lot of people were freaking out about that situation. But he look, we got to keep pushing at him. Apparently, from his article, from Corey Bennett's article as well, Saban wants him. Bama wants him, but they're not pushing as hard as Florida is. So it's going to be important that Florida continues to push as much as possible for him as well. Do we keep Jakeem Jackson after his visit? I feel like Jakeem's there. So, boys, right now I hope that 21st date comes as quick as possible. So we will see. We will see. I don't know what happened to Steve. Steve storming the field. he had to go rush the field. Well, while we wait on Steve, I'm going to go ahead and talk about championship weekend, because obviously it's going to be a great. Dude, this Saturday is probably one of the best Saturdays this entire year. USA plays the Netherlands on Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll be there. Then the Big 12 championships at 12. The SEC championships at 4. Then they got the ACC championship, and then the Pac-12 championship at like 8, I believe, which is going to be to me the biggest ones. ACC I could care less about. That's a no-brainer. It's done and over with. But the other ones are massive. And so obviously we've been betting on these games all year long. I won the trophy, but obviously we're going to bet on these last few games here. You back, Steve?
I'm back. I'm gonna jump off and jump right back in. The camera's just not loving me right now.
Oh, so you're here. You're just not here.
I can see your pretty face.
Oh, you can see me. At least they can hear you. So
I'm here. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. So look, we're gonna give a shout out to our sponsor, MyBookie. I'm gonna go ahead and read that to you guys now. Look, sports betting is intense enough. You shouldn't need to sweat your payouts. MyBookie has no shrink bonus that's will let you cash in and cash out quick. Use the promo code HIGHTOP, okay? On a deposit of $50 or more, and you receive up to $200 in cash instantly to your MyBookie account. Using this bonus is simple. Bet your deposit amount once, and you're ready to cash out. No strings attached on MyBookie. Hammer this bonus on MyBookie so you can focus on what's important, which is winning money, okay? Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that stuff out. Helps us out a lot. Get your parlays stringed up for this weekend. But I think I would avoid the parlays for championship weekend. I would take each individual game as its own. And these games are going to be important. Also, put your money on USA Soccer, because that's going to be a big game this weekend, which I'm beyond excited for. I love that. Look, like, let's be honest, none of us are soccer fans throughout the year. Maybe some of you guys are, but you put me in the World Cup. I'm the greatest soccer fan you've ever met in your entire life. Like, I know everything about soccer. Okay.
Oh yeah.
For that hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, we all know it.
For that hour, shouting you going to Qatar, I might. I'm pretty committed. Okay.
He's got nothing going on. Yeah.
That's karma for saying that I was unprepared with battery. Did you call me Stuart McLovin? My name is Shelton. What the fuck?
It's your fault for not putting the tags on the yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Can we talk about my bookie, the GOAT, just spit my kid's college fund on the Team USA World Cup game. Cody Smith. Oh gosh, Auburn in 3 years will win a natty. Simmer down. Can you give us can we get the record from last week? Even though you had already lost, I just want to kind of just. It's the only thing I had going for me last weekend. Can you tell me what the record was?
Yeah. So you won 7.
And lost how many?
2, 3, 4. You were 7. You were 7-4.
And you were
not counting the pushes. So
4 and 7
instead of 7 and 4. So yes.
Man, I love this sport.
It's you're so good at math too. I love
it. AR comes back. Okay. Y'all be pissed. No. All right, let's do it. Let's do the championship games. It comes down to this. We're gonna do the bowl games too, which will be fun. We were supposed to do this week.
We were supposed to do a predictions.
The bowl predictions. I I try looking it up, bro. Like, there's no shot that I'd be able to predict these things. Like, I have zero clue on how that stuff would
So it's funny you say that. I wanted to come in here and I wanted to do the same conversation, but I looked at Athlon Sports, I looked at Pro Football Talk, I looked at CBS, I looked at NBC, I looked at ESPN. I'm just going to go down the list of all the things that sound like major sports networks that I researched. I even went to War Chant. I went to Florida's On3 page. None of it's the same. None of it's the damn same. There's no level of consistency at all. I will say this.
They do what they want.
See that there's two options. It looks like that seems to be consistent for Florida, and that is the Gasparilla Bowl that is played in Tampa, which I think would be huge for you guys. And then there's also the
Vegas
Las
Bowl
Vegas
against UCLA.
Bowl.
I would love that. I say
UCLA. I think that matchup is
I say
fun.
we play UCLA. I say we take a business trip. We put it on the business card. And
I like that. And then FSU is getting, really for the most part, two different bowls. We're getting the Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando against potentially Texas.
Man, I wanted Texas.
Awesome. Everybody wants Texas. They're like the new Bama. And then there was some initial talk about potentially being here in Jacksonville, which I would love for my own homerism. But I think Notre Dame's going to get that spot. So it looks more and more like we're either going to be in Charlotte against Minnesota. God, what an awful game that matchup is. Or potentially Orlando against Texas. So I'm certainly rooting for Orlando. All right. Let's get some bowl games kicked off. We have a game 1 week. Oh, no, in 2 days. 2 days, kids. We are back at it. We have the Utah USC game.
Oh, shit. It's on Friday.
It's on Friday. Yeah, we're 2 days away.
Let's go. All right, this one's tough for me because I've had Austin in my ear for the last 3 days. Our buddy Austin Sweat is a big USC fan, and he has been in my ear telling me.
Oh, he's been on the show before.
Yeah, that USC is the greatest thing ever, and that the SEC is overrated, and that the Pac-12 is back. And I'm like, this is why I find a team that I like, and then your dumbass fans come and just piss me off. Like, just shut up. Just leave me alone. Like, I have a soft spot for you. I'm kind of rooting for you, like, low-key, underneath, in the closet, by myself, minding my business. And then you got to come and you got to just ruin it. You got to start coming in just talking nonsense out of your damn woo-ha. And it just gets me fired. I don't want to cheer for you anymore because I want you to be proven wrong. And it's brutal. It's just like Tennessee. Tennessee was the same way. I was like, hey, look, good for them. And then they wouldn't shut up. Well, now I want you to get your ass railroaded. Okay? And then Georgia, I was like, hey, look, good for them. They haven't shut up. And then I wanted them to lose. Well, now I hate everybody else that's in it, so now I have to choose Georgia. Like, I mean, just shut up for 5 minutes, okay? Anyways, with that being said, USC, God, this sucks, man. You go first.
So, all right, I'll take this one. Gosh. USC is favored by 2.5. So we're gonna change this up because there's a lot fewer games, right? And I think this will be a fun tiebreaker for us. We're not only going to do who we think is going to win, but we're also going to take the over/under.
Okay.
And because that could be a tiebreaker here. So I'm going to take Utah versus USC. USC is favored by 2.5. I'm going to take USC to cover that.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, and the over/under.
And the over/under is
68.
68.
So what are you doing?
I will go over on that.
So I am going to do this. If USC loses, the college football playoffs is going to be absolute mayhem, which I have been praying for forever. Yeah, and I can then talk shit to Austin.
Give me chaos all day, baby.
And I respect Utah. So for that, I'm going to take Utah. Because if they win, then I get that. And if I lose, I still get USC in the playoff, which I predicted. So it's a win-win for me either way. So I'm going to take the 2.5 points, and I'm going to take the over 68 because I think it's going to be a bloodbath. But I think Utah's beat them once. I think USC is going to be pissed, but Utah won late. But I think Utah's better than they were. And I think USC's better than they were. But I think Utah gets it done. Let's see here what we got in the chat. Utah's going to make that interesting. Between the Hedges says Utah. Brandon says Utah. Scott says Utah. Cody says USC rolling. Okay. All right. Continue. I'm sorry.
All right. So let's go to the Big Ten. It's going to be a 12 p.m. kickoff on Saturday the 3rd. We have Kansas State versus TCU.
That's the Big 12.
I've been a big TCU fan all year.
You confused. That's a Big 12.
Sorry. Big 12. They're playing that game in Arlington in Cowboy Stadium. TCU is favored by 2.5. The over under is 62.
Yeah, I think. Do I have to go first?
You do. I went first last.
I'm gonna say under for the spread, and I think TCU is gonna roll. As much, it's gonna be the situation where we're praying for Kansas to get it done, and they're just not going to. TCU hears the noise, and TCU is gonna absolutely smash them. 2.5 is disrespectful. They're gonna absolutely smash them.
Okay.
The over under is a tough one. That's I'm gonna say over. Actually, I'm gonna change it. I'm changing it to over. Changing it to over. I could see like a 40 to like 20 something game.
TCU.
Yeah. Fish Reeve is taking Kansas. Scott's taking Kansas. Gabe's taking TCU. Chris Smith's taking TCU. It's pretty split here.
You're taking the over?
Yeah, I'm taking the over.
All right. So let's get down here to the SEC. I don't know if anybody on this channel pays any attention.
Wait, who did you take? Who did you take?
Well, no, I mean, if you're taking TCU, so that's the thing. If you're taking TCU, I'm going to take Kansas State.
Oh! Is that how we're going to do it? Like we used to? Like you get the first pick and you have to take the other one because you're getting the points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then that's the whole reason for the tiebreaker. So if you actually take TCU, all right. So let's go to the SEC championship. Nobody here ever wants to talk about that.
It's your pick.
Gosh, it is LSU and Georgia. I know. Gosh, what a terrible matchup this turned out to be. Potentially, maybe LSU just wasn't playing to their. All right, so we have number 1 Georgia, LSU, 14. It's a 17.5 point favorite for Georgia. And I don't think Georgia feels like they have to win by that much. I feel like if they're up by 2 touchdowns, they just squat on it. I'm going to take LSU. They lose, but they cover. I'm going to take LSU in that game.
So I have to take Georgia
then? Well, yeah. And then the over-under is 51.
I don't like that.
Well, who do you think's going to win then?
I like the points there.
I'm still going to take Kansas State. So
I like the points there.
Okay, so you think Georgia pulls this out?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we're both. So you're taking Georgia. So it ends up being the same.
No, I'm taking LSU.
All right, over under.
I'm taking LSU.
Okay, you are taking LSU.
Yes.
Okay. So then I get the tiebreaker, which is the over under at 51. 51 for those two teams. Golly. It's like if LSU comes out with an offense, then it's way over. If LSU comes out without one,
Chris says Georgia by 50.
The game is probably
pick a.
I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna take the over.
Jesus.
I just shat and I got off the pot. My God. All right. So coming to you, we have a golly, an athletic, an AAC championship. We have UCF versus the Tulane.
The rematch.
Yeah. The game right now is Tulane is giving 4. Tulane giving 4.
I'll take the Knights.
UCF beat them.
I learned my lesson. I'll take the Knights.
Okay. The Green Wave did me well last week, and they get, God, I don't know. It's okay. So it's a conference game, or it's a conference championship game, but it's in New Orleans, which is essentially where Tulane is. I'm going to take Tulane. And you get the over-under as the tiebreaker for that one, and that is
over
56.5. Over. Right. All right. Let's move on down to the Big Ten. Gosh, this game could be either really fun or just a complete snoozer. We have got Purdue versus Michigan. Where are you, Ohio State? Oh, you can't get that.
I like Purdue in this one. I like Purdue
Indianapolis, which
I like Purdue to cover here.
Yeah, it's a 16.5 spread for Michigan.
How disrespectful to the ACC or the Big Ten. I don't know which one you want to say. Both of those games are at 8 o'clock. Every other conference has their own time slot. Well, I guess the American Athletic is the same time as the SEC, but let's be honest. They're not competing.
No, yeah.
But you put the ACC and the Big Ten at the same time? Brutal.
Well, I mean, look at the Pac-12. They got their own day.
Yeah, right?
The whole day is theirs. So take that. All right. So Purdue, Michigan. I spelled it like the chicken, not the city.
I like Purdue.
My fault.
I like Purdue. There's gonna be somebody that goes down. I think Michigan's gonna take the L here. I feel like they blew their load last weekend. Now look, this game could be like the the staple of like, hey, Michigan's legit, which I'd be cool with too, but we'll see.
All right, so the over/under, I think Michigan is yesterday or last week anyway proved themselves to be the best team in the conference, and they're not going to take their foot off the gas pedal. The over/under on that game is 52. I am going to go under. I never like going over on a
lot of Michigans in the chat. A lot of Michigans in the chat. You took Michigan, right?
I did. I took Michigan to cover the 16, and I took the under on the overall. I don't know if the Boilermakers are going to score very much. All right, let's go to the best conference in college football. Let's get to the ACC.
No, we already did the SEC.
We have Clemson.
We already did the SEC.
Yeah. I said the ACC. Yeah, we're doing.
No. You said the best. So I was we already did the SEC though.
Yeah. So North Carolina. No. Yeah. So North Carolina.
So we're doing the worst.
And,
okay.
In Clemson.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I mean, you know it's bad. You know it's true. This, bro, I have no clue, bro. I have no clue. I have no clue. They're both are
7.5 point dog.
So here, actually, you know what? I think Clemson, in a crazy world, if things fall the right way in front of them, they could possibly make it. I know they're behind.
What?
So hold on. If Michigan loses, everyone basically has Michigan. Everyone already has Michigan in, even if they do lose, which is crazy to me. But if TCU loses and USC loses, and you have a Clemson who just won their conference championship with 2 losses, you really going to put a 2-loss Bama in over them? Are you going to put a 2-loss Tennessee over them? So I'm just saying there's a possibility that it could happen. So Clemson needs to win. Clemson needs to win in fashion if they want any possibility of making the playoff. So that's why I'm taking Clemson. I'm not saying the chances of it happening are like 0.001%. I know, but that's if I'm Clemson, if I'm Dabo.
But you're saying that they just have to go guns a-blazing in order
I gotta go do a Hail Mary here, so we gotta roll these fucking guys. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm picking them.
Yeah. Look, I like this quarterback from North Carolina. I don't like a whole lot else about North Carolina. And Clemson's defense was
they just lost to NC State. They just lost to NC State too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Clemson just lost South Carolina. So what do I know?
Yeah, right. That's the other caveat to this thing is Clemson looked real sharp after Dabo Sweeney got done talking crap about Tennessee. Like all they're going to do is be flipping burgers watching the conference championship game. Well,
so are
Clemson.
You. Well,
yeah. Well, for the playoffs. I'll take UNC just to kind of go against it. The over/under is 63.5, and you get the tiebreaker.
I'm gonna say under. No way they score that many.
I was thinking they'd be in like the 70 range, but okay. So Shelly's taking the under on 63 and a half.
FSU wins the ACC and storms the field. I love it. Look, it's gonna be a great weekend, man. It's
boy.
What's gonna happen? Here's what's gonna happen. It's because what we need, so apparently again, Georgia and Michigan loses. Everybody's saying they're in no matter what because of what's behind them. So we need both of those guys to win because nothing crazy is gonna happen if those two lose. Where madness happens if USC and or TCU loses. Because then at that point, if one of those teams loses, it's between the Buckeyes, a one-loss team, or a two-loss team, Alabama. Now, Ohio State's in front of Bama right now, so I think Ohio State's going to get the nod. But if both of those teams lose, if you give a one-loss TCU team, do you put a one-loss TCU team over Bama? Because so if you have, let's say USC loses and TCU loses, Ohio State's in, Michigan's in, Georgia's in, right. And now it comes down to a two-loss Bama or a one-loss, which Bama and Tennessee, that's going to be a whole other conversation because they're both two-loss teams, and Tennessee beat Bama. It's mayhem. In a perfect world, that's what happens. Both those teams go down. What I think actually happens, the only team that loses is going to be USC, and Ohio State gets in, and it'll be fun to have Ohio State in the playoff. But it won't be as exciting.
Because they do so well in it. They do so well every time they get there.
We want USC. From a college football fan, I think we want USC over anybody else, to be honest with you, just because it would make college football it would spice it up to see that the West Coast style football team like that in there. And I think honestly, we're being a little. I'm the first to say this. We're being a little bit too hard on TCU, comparing them to Cincinnati. That's a bit disrespectful. I thought about that today. I said that. I know I said it a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, they're not the same. Because if Texas was in it, we wouldn't be saying this, and they're both in the Pac-12. If Oklahoma was in it, we wouldn't be saying this, and they're both in the Pac-12. We kind of always said Oklahoma when they're in it, it's like, well, you kind of had an easy route, but we never discredited them. So why are we doing this to TCU? I don't know. Like everyone's on the bandwagon now. I feel like we were on a little early. Now everybody's in the same kind of boat of like, I saw one person say TCU shouldn't even get it with them being undefeated, and I'm like, what are we saying? Like that's what kind of pissed me off. I'm like, no, now we're too far. We're too far to the other side. That we're disrespecting TCU way too much. And look, we might get ourselves punched in the mouth. It's not the same thing as Cincinnati. I know I said that earlier, but it's not. I still don't want TCU in it. Let's keep one thing clear.
Cincinnati had one big game. Cincinnati beat Notre Dame last year, and that was a big win for them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking that win away, but Cincinnati beat. I don't know of another big game that Cincinnati won. They played very well against their own conference, but this is coming from an ACC guy, I guess. That doesn't give you a whole lot of traction. So congratulations on being undefeated and your one feather in the cap being Notre Dame. It looked different when they were in the playoffs. They weren't the same size as the other team. They weren't the same speed as the other team. And it only took about a quarter.
TCU,
I think they played.
It isn't that far behind as Cincinnati is in a sense of skill gap and player gap. Right. They're much closer.
Correct.
So look, I'm giving them a lot.
They may get this. They may get the third string Texas players, but they're still getting Texas players. A ton of Texas players. Let's not let
the college football mold to have TCU in it. It's just like when the Kansas City Royals were in the World Series. We all thought it would be really cool for the Kansas City Royals to win the World Series. And then they won the World Series, and that wasn't that cool. It wasn't like the Cubs winning the World Series. That was cool. When the Royals won the World Series, it was like, we all wanted a new team and the fun young team to do it. But when it actually happened, we're like, all right, that was stupid. Let's not do that ever again. So that's how I feel the TCU situation is going to be. Look, see Harrison saying, I want to see TCU in the playoffs for just something new. You say that, and then when it happens, you're like, I regret everything that I said. I don't want anything new.
Right.
Let's go back to what we like.
It's 56-18. Yeah, it's 56-18 at the start of the fourth quarter, and then you start to realize that the difference between the top 4 or 5 teams in the rankings and the difference between potentially consistently year after year after year. I mean, like right now TCU's in the top 4, but when you look at the top 5 or 6 teams that are always there, and then you play one of these guys who just kind of sneak in there, they get in there, they earn their way, but then all of a sudden they aren't those teams.
Mip says it perfectly. I want USC to win so I can watch them as many times as possible. Caleb is the most exciting player I've seen in a long time, and their offense is fun to watch, and I couldn't agree more. That is going to be, in my opinion, it's the best championship game of all weekend, without a shadow of a doubt. The SEC game is a joke. The Big Ten game's a joke. Nobody cares about the ACC. Not taking a shot. Just the 2 teams don't matter. That's what I'm saying. I'm not. They
don't matter.
It's just the game is useless. It doesn't have any implications of what's going to happen in the future. And unfortunately, I just don't think
care about the Michigan Purdue game.
I don't think the Big 12. I loved the Big 12 game last year. Oklahoma State and Baylor. That was fun to watch for me. It was just 2 kind of just explosive teams going at it. And at the time, the winner of that game had a chance to go to the playoff if things fell the right way in front of them. Obviously, it didn't. But that was a fun game. But I don't think TCU and Kansas State is that exciting. So, I mean, hell, people had Baylor in the Final Four. I'm kind of reiterating back to my TCU point. If Baylor would have made it, nobody would have been doing what we're doing right now, shitting on them either. So, we got to give TCU some credit and quit beating the shit out of them. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch. So, I'm excited. It's gonna be a great weekend. I mean, it starts at 9:00 in the morning. It doesn't. I mean, I didn't realize it starts on Friday. Let's go.
Friday. We're 48 hours away from from
showtime. Hey boys, we need a few likes to 150. Let's get there before the show ends. What a great show. This was probably
if you're here and you're talking, if you're here and you're talking, just click the damn button. I know I watch other podcasts, I watch other streams. I know what you're looking at. You're watching the cast on the right? And then you've got the little like button right there. So, yeah, like somewhere under the right about the middle of the screen. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to come back. I don't care about that. But at least hit the like button because you had a good time while you were here. Hit the button.
Look at that. Guys, I think it was a great show. Let us know if you loved it. Let us know if you hated it. You guys already do that. Let us know if it was too much hot air for you guys today. But this was a great time. I really enjoyed the show. I think it was a lot of fun things to talk about. I think I was a little concerned because it is talking season that it wouldn't be as exciting, but there's still a lot of good news and a lot of energy, I think, for the next at least 30 days for us to be excited about. I think, honestly, until February, until the next signing period, it's going to be exciting for Florida football and just college football in general. It lasts a little bit, obviously, until the championship, which is in January. So we're going to have a good time here. We're going to hang out.
Look, if Florida keeps giving us talking season topics like this,
yeah, I mean, look,
come on in.
they're gonna Fish Reef give us some good news. I don't know what you want from me, big guy. I don't know what I can. Who's committing next? I mean, we got some dates coming up. That's all I know. There's some dates coming up. So, JR, what's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. Spacesuit better. It's always ready, guys. Hey, real quick though, before we go, we ordered another blow up for the house. As you guys know, I do pretty big for Christmas, and it's a Santa coming out of a spaceship. I mean, come on, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's out here doing it? Boys and girls, appreciate you guys as always. Like, subscribe, turn the bell on. We'll be dropping bangers every day, trying to keep you guys in tune with what's going on. So make sure you guys show us some love. Sean, who cut your hair? Price's Barbershop in St. Augustine, downtown. The shiz. Looks fresh, doesn't it? Clean, boys.
It does. It looks.
Daddy's back.
Look, we had a rough week last week.
Yeah.
We had to do the rattle.
Yeah.
We've come so far.
Yeah. Dialed in. North Florida White Trashers, go Gators. Absolutely, boys. Billy Boss about to let him hang on him early signing. Absolutely. Boys and girls, ladies and gents, you guys have a great night. Sleep tight. Drive safe. Tell somebody you love them. We'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Have a great Saturday. Make sure you guys go to my bookie. Use the code HIGHTOP. Go gamble. Go beat the degenerates. Have a good weekend, boys.
Love you, Shelton.
No.
I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own.